GoPro Hero 7, the basics. My name is Darren berrecloth, and I'm a professional mountain bike freerider, and I'm a GoPro athlete. So basically, a couple things that you need to know is this thing, you pull it out of the box, you're gonna power this thing on, power button, right on the side here, on the right, and you're gonna be using this button to toggle through some of your menu items alongside of your LCD touchscreen, which is very new and quite a convenient little addition to this, very usable. It's amazing how many people I run across that have zero clue how to run these things, because even though this thing's really small, with all the new technological advances with this camera, it's actually becoming quite a useful tool with a bunch of different ways to use it. So a lot of people are very confused. So here I am going through some of the basics. So you turn this thing on, and initially when you pull this thing out of the box, you're going to be seen with some of like the basic startups like the English, French, Deutsch, all those functions. So you switch that. Your time is going to be coded just because it's going to be connected to your Wi-Fi. Those Wi-Fi connection stuff we're going to talk about a little bit later in another episode, but this is just the basics. And the first couple things that you want to do is you want to learn how to navigate through these settings on these cameras. So first of all, power on your right, this is your StartStop Record, and this is going to be good when you this is going to be set up right out of the box so that you can, when the camera's completely off, you can touch this record button once and it's going to turn on and start recording, and then when you hit it again, it's going to stop recording, it's going to stop and start with this button even though it's being off. It's a great function to save battery when you're out on the trail, or you don't want to have the camera on at all times. So that's the basic rundown of the buttons on the outside of the camera. On the back of the LCD screen, some of the first things that you want to do is just play around with it, navigate with the functions. So when I pull down on the screen from the top down, it's going to jump in your preferences. First couple things that you're going to want to toy with is your speech mode. So you just click on that to turn the speech mode on or off, and you have a multiple of different commands. I'll go through the commands later. If I say the commands now, my GoPro is recording in the moment and it'll shut off and do other things, so I won't say that right now. But you got your beeps, and then you have your quick capture on or off, which is the function that I was telling you about with this upper button. And then on the right, you have your lock screen, which is primarily for if you have your camera on and it's going to be potentially bumped, like something's going to be touching your screen and you don't want to be messing with the functions. Personally, I never have the lock screen on just because I don't usually need it. So my camera's either on or off, and it's up on my helmet or on my chest or doing something else that doesn't really need that. So then you jump into your preferences. This is where your main menu is for all of your functions. So you go into your preferences and connections. That's how you're gonna set up your iPhone connections going to your GoPro app. And then general is what I want you to jump to. Set your beat volumes, medium, low, high, or off, depending on your situation, what you want. Your default mode, that basically means what the mode it starts up in. So when you turn the camera on, it's going to start up. I have it on video, which is traditionally where I want it, so I keep it on video mode. And then auto power off, I usually leave it at 30 minutes or 15, depending on your situation. You can adjust whatever there. Your LEDs, those are really nice for, you know, asking someone, hey, is my camera on, sort of thing, because you'll see the blinking red lights in the top left corner. Video compression, don't worry about that. That's in the advanced stage. Time, date, format, that's all going to be dialed in with your phone connectivity that we're going to talk about later. And then voice control options. You're going to have a on, wake on voice. I don't really recommend the wake on voice because your camera will be off and it's going to be draining battery, because it's always somewhat on, waiting for the command for someone to say GoPro turn on, sort of thing. And obviously right there the camera turned off because I have my settings on. So I'm gonna have to wait for it to boot back up again. Go back into preferences, and your regional, don't worry about that. It's advanced. Input output, don't worry about that. It's a little more advanced. Reset, this one you're going to be using quite often, because if you're going to be dumping your cards the way I do onto a computer, I either format the SD card on my camera, or I do it in my computer. Generally, I try to do it on my my GoPro here. And then to erase all of your footage, make sure you dump it first. You hit format SD card, and it said yes, format SD card, and that's going to be erasing your entire format, or erasing your entire card. So just be careful that you've made sure you've backed everything up onto a separate format. And that's pretty much it for the functions of that. And then if you want to view your footage, you're going to take your finger from the left side. If you're going to want to view your footage, you're going to go from the bottom up, and that's going to be any of your shots that you've got, and then you can toggle back and forth through them. A quick little or a nice little feature is this button at the bottom. It's called Seek, and if you have like a long time lapse or a long video clip, you can actually toggle and drag to the section that you want without having to push fast forwards, play, stop, and backwards and whatnot. And then you can also highlight button on the right, which basically means it will, while you're going through your video, you can highlight those points, so that when you put it into GoPro Quick, it will edit to those highlights that you added to the video. And then also you can delete the individual clip or photo as you please on this section. And then another thing is toggling back between photo, video, and time-lapse mode. That's going to be done on the side, is what I'm going to suggest. You can do it by going like this as well, and then choosing which one, but I prefer to go with the side button right here to go between photo, time-lapse, and video. So one of the bigger confusions I hear and see people doing is the voice commands. They get very frustrated at how the voice commands works, and what you really got to do is you got to know the actual words and when it's going to respond to you. So the way that I've instructed you to set this thing up, you're going to basically be able to say, GoPro, start recording. Obviously, as you can see here, I shut my voice commands off. I'm going to put them back on right here, and I'm going to go back to the main screen so you can see it, and I'm going to say GoPro, start recording. It's going to start recording. GoPro, stop recording. It's going to stop recording. Then I'm going to say GoPro, photo mode. Now it goes to the photo mode, and now I'm in a single photo. And how you know that is in each of the 3 settings that you can have with this camera, you have a little button on the bottom left, and you can go photo, burst, night, and night's a night lapse. So for instance, I'm gonna go into time-lapse mode, and it just went into time-lapse mode. So if I want to be riding on the trail, one thing, mountain biking, this feature is priceless for us, because we can be riding on a trail filming a section, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, this would be a great photo. So then I go GoPro photo mode. GoPro take photo. Takes a photo. If I'm in GoPro video mode, now it's in the video mode, GoPro start recording, and I'm recording, I'm going along the trail, and I say GoPro highlight. Boom, highlights. And what that'll do is that'll add a highlight, little pin mark on the editing format, so when you bring it to GoPro Quick, which is in a later episode, it's going to highlight that, and it's going to go edit right to that point, which is very cool. GoPro stop recording. Yeah, other than that, always making sure that the camera's on is a big one. I see a lot of people talking to their camera when their camera's off, because maybe their buddy walked up to them and said, GoPro, power off. And they're like, oh, my camera's off. And I think it's on. And they're trying to talk to it, and they can't get it to start. So That's lesson number one.